Pretty cool they have a boat right there.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to be the first to welcome you to San Francisco International Airport. It is now approximately...
I came to University of Iowa on 2010, and here I met many different Chinese students who have been here for many years. However, during their time, it was not easy to come to America.
Okay. Hi, my name is Li Juan. I have been here almost 6 years. I came here for my college in 2004. I was really excited when I know I can come here for my college because it was extremely hard to get into US after 9/11.
So, what happened after 9/11?
Nine months after the attacks on New York and the Pentagon, the U.S. Attorney General suddenly announces to the nation,
"We have captured a known terrorist who was..."
In the week of 9/11, the U.S. administration published a report in order to keep the nation safe, free, and prosperous.
After spending $75 billion a year on domestic security, the government can say the country has been spared from anything approaching a repeat of 9/11.
This report also mentioned 19 hijackers used student or travel visa come to US. So, in order to track people efficiently, the US government rejected more international students from 2003, which was a disaster to many Chinese students.
Okay. Overall, I think Americans have a hard time trusting foreigners because of what happened on 9/11. I do not believe personally that it is a reasonable assumption that all foreigners have the same ideas as the people of Al-Qaeda or whoever else might have been involved in 9/11. I do believe the fact that Americans and people in general do not trust each other, which makes it difficult for us to all coexist. If we would communicate more and learn how to trust each other, we would not have these issues anymore. I do believe a lot of the international students coming from other places besides the Middle East deserve more trust, but it's hard because they're not part of our American country. If we all learned how to work together a little better, we might be able to trust each other and coexist better.
Time now for the question of the day. Today it comes from Jamila in New Jersey. And Sylvia, she says she's noticed some features that we've been doing on Chinese overseas students studying in the US. And she asks, are the numbers of those students going up or down?
Well, we know that last year China sent about 26,000 undergraduates and 57,000 graduate students. And compare that to 5 years ago, where only about 8,000 undergraduates and about 51,000 graduate students going abroad to the U.S. So we see more than tripled of the number of undergraduate students going abroad, but for graduate students, the number has not gone up nearly that much.
Yeah, it has increased, but just a little bit.
Yeah.
As we reported last week, new exchange programs announced during Obama's visit here, so those numbers you would expect to see continue to rise.
Right.
Well, there you go, Jamila. And remember, every day we answer your questions about life here in China. You can send those questions to us.
Overall, I think it's a good thing to educate people from other countries so that they know what's going on. It's not fair to those people who are informed about 9/11 or to those who aren't informed about 9/11. If you're not an American and didn't go through the struggles and pain that we went through, it's hard for people to understand and grasp what actually happened because it didn't happen to their country. If we educated international students better, it might be easier for them to understand what's going on. Education is a very good way to, I mean, obviously teach each other, but also work together to learn what we can do in the future, and also that way they can speak up for themselves better and be able to understand what's going on and actually defend themselves in a situation they have absolutely nothing to do with. It is not fair that international students from anywhere are being affected, because even the people, the regular people that are from the Middle East should be able to come here and not be judged for any reason, but they are because of the situations that we've been into. So we should all be educated and work together, and I think it would make our educational system a lot easier for everybody. And I hope we can learn to trust each other.
Yeah.
It may not sound like an American classroom or look like a traditional American classroom, but these students from the Midwest state of Illinois are getting an education on the Far East.
For young students, it's a very smart investment to learn Chinese, I bet.
Wen Yalu is one of several language instructors at Walter Payton College Preparatory School in Chicago. Chinese language classes have been a regular part of the curriculum in the Chicago public school system for more than a decade.
We believe we are one of the first several schools that start or promote Chinese language learning.
The mayor has initiated the largest public school Mandarin program in the United States. There are 42 schools in Chicago that are teaching Mandarin to more than 12,000 students every year.
William Spence is co-chairman of the Chicago Sister Cities China Committee. He says language classes are one way departing Mayor Richard Daley has engaged China, America's second largest trading partner. Chinese President Hu Jintao recognized those efforts in January. During his state visit, he spent time in Chicago and visited with students and faculty at Walter Payton.
That probably had more to do with raising the level of awareness of Chicago in China than any other single act.
The Shanghai Expo in 2010 also helped raise the level of awareness of America in China. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton directed the State Department to participate in the Expo by creating an American pavilion. She says learning Chinese paid off for the Americans who worked at the pavilion.
And I think part of the reason we were the second most visited pavilion was because the Chinese were just thrilled to come meet these young Americans who were speaking their language. And they were asking all kinds of questions, and the young Americans were asking about their pronunciation, and it was just a fabulous moment. And we need more of that. Thank you all.
Secretary Clinton asked Mayor Daley to co-chair the advisory committee to the 100,000 Strong Initiative. The initiative is a goal set by President Barack Obama in 2009 to encourage 100,000 American students to study abroad in China. The program's success depends on more institutions nationwide following Chicago's lead.
Well, we hear that it's become a model for some other school systems. As I recall, there was some discussion about 15 other American cities that had picked up on the Chicago model for putting the Mandarin program in place in the public schools.
Even with those language programs, the U.S. State Department says there are 600 times more Chinese students studying English than Americans studying Mandarin. The State Department also says 10 times more Chinese students study in the United States than Americans in China. The 100,000 Strong Initiative is intended to begin bridging that gap.
Now this is my fourth year for my PhD program. But now it's easier to get into here for education. It's 2 years. If I walk on the street, I meet 10 people, probably one is Chinese. And I realize more undergraduate students are from China. I mean, I read a newspaper. I noticed this year it's almost 800 undergraduate students are Chinese. My two neighbors, these two girls are Chinese girls. They are sophomore now.
Promises. Any of those prophecies of the coming Messiah. Any of the prophecies about his birth. Real quick,
I hope that one day we can all trust each other. But honestly, I don't know if it will happen in my generation or any to come because of what has happened. Hopefully it won't happen again and we can continue to progress and all become one.